Welcome to the Podcast Discovery Show, the podcast that's about other podcasts, where every single week we have a book club style discussion about a podcast. And at the end of this episode, we'll have a brand new show for you guys to listen to. And we'll talk about that one next week. I'm Kirk.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Matt.
And this week we are talking about the show from Rhett and Link from Good Mythical Morning called Ronstadt. Kirk recommended both of the first 2 episodes of the show. And so, Kirk, how did you first find out about this? Was it just through Good Mythical Morning?
I think it was just through Good Mythical Morning. And when they said they had a scripted show, a scripted podcast, I was like, hey, I'm into those. And they were like sci-fi scripted. I was like, heck yeah. And yeah, so I went and listened to it. I think at the time there was only 1 episode out. And by the time I actually recommended it, there was 2. So I was like, let's do both of them. Now I've listened to all
4
of them.
now.
I think there's 4 or 5. I listened to another one today. I think I'm caught up, and now I'm gonna end up finishing it because that's what I do.
I'll say this: those guys crank out content like nonstop.
I mean, their YouTube stinking show is daily. They have a daily YouTube show,
which I still it's crazy to me. Is there anybody else who even does that?
I don't know.
Not that I've ever heard.
At least not on that level, like where it's that. I don't know.
Because how long have they been doing their YouTube show?
Like 10 years.
Yeah, that's insane.
10
years every day
is when they started.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
5 days a week. They take like summer breaks and stuff, but every day. They have like a really nice studio now. But yeah, Ronstadt is their scripted podcast where it's all about Rhett is the main character doing the voice acting of the guy named Ronstadt. And it is kind of like, they called it sci-fi. I didn't really pick up a whole lot of sci-fi vibes, aside from like there's some like weird stuff happening.
Paranormal.
What would you call it?
I would call it paranormal or supernatural.
Yeah, because he's not like, there's no like spaceships, at least so far, that we found or anything. He's a 911 operator.
But I guess the idea of ESP and stuff is kind of sci-fi. But it's also kind of paranormal.
Yeah, hard to really categorize
is paranormal a genre though? Like I don't know. I'm asking.
I guess you could also call it fantasy. It's hard to say. But what I'm saying is there's no spaceships, but it's more just kind of like this character drama of him doing it. Yeah, it could happen eventually.
Who knows?
And it's basically just walking you through the life of this guy who starts working at a 911 operation like place, and he starts getting weird messages in the back of his mind. And I think this is their podcast production studio that's doing this. I think they have one now. Him and I think Markiplier, another really big YouTuber, started if I remember this correctly, I could be wrong, started like a production studio for podcasts specifically. So this is just something they're doing in-house, and it sounds great. You know, they really have great production quality on pretty much everything they do.
Yeah, no, for sure. It sounds great. The voice acting's better than I thought it was going to be. And I like the story. It's fun. It's goofy. I've always liked their sense of humor, and it kind of bleeds over into this show. I will say it was a little bit off-putting, and it didn't bother me, but it was just kind of weird hearing Rhett cuss a lot more than on Good Mythical Morning. It's like, this feels weird. You know?
I don't think they cuss at all.
Do they not?
On Good Mythical Morning, I don't think they do.
Don't.
Oh, interesting.
It's kind of like and then that's to me part of the weird appeal of that show is like, it's interesting enough for a parent to enjoy it, but it's also clean enough and still interesting enough for a kid to enjoy it. So you can enjoy it with your whole family. And that's what makes that show so different than most things in any sort of media.
That's definitely why I got into it as well, is kind of because you're not really isolating anyone. You know, there's a lot of YouTube channels that are fun to watch, but somebody's not going to like it. For the most part, if you throw on Good Mythical Morning, it's fine. You know, people are all going to be fine with it.
Well, it seems like Rhett and Link have really dialed in the way to widespread appeal themselves really nicely. And I love that it's a noir. We should also say that it's paranormal / sci-fi / noir. He's playing essentially a hard-boiled detective, but who is a 911 operator, a weird 911 operator.
Yeah, that has magical powers and is like goofy and like kind of like
he has
lazy.
Radar. Yes. It's radar for crazy things.
Yeah.
But I can always picture him with a cigarette and constantly throwing it down real hard, being like, I'm tired of this. That's the voice that he does.
But yeah, it did follow the noir structure, didn't it? It started at the end, and they're like, wait, we got to back up. That is classic film noir. You got to start at the end. Although, spoiler alert, Brett's got to die if it's a real film noir. It's a whole study of how they die.
That's true. Spoiler alert for a spoiler that you may or may not know is actually how it is.
Yeah, no, I say spoiler alert. There's a good chance they're not going to do that because that's the star of the show. And then they also have Link playing random parts throughout.
Yeah,
I still don't think I can pinpoint the voices that he played.
I bet if you listen to it again, just listen for Link's voice and you can hear him because he's got a little more of the drawl than Rhett does. So there was a couple of the voices I'm like, that's got to be Link right there.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what.
No, and the thing is you don't get their names.
Yeah.
You just somebody's voice pops on and you're like, that kind of sounds like Rhett doing a woman's voice, and then that's it. The end. And it's gone forever. So, Kirk, I know that you specifically like this style of podcast a lot. This isn't typically what do you listen to a lot of like kind of narrative style podcasts, Matt? Not
really, but I enjoyed this up until a point of the scriptedness. I'm a big fan of the improvised stuff more, but I like the improvised narrative stuff. I listen to these and I just get bogged down with like, oh man, they have a very tight script and they're like making sure they hit all of their buttons. And like, there's those moments where it'll be like, God, that is a terrible joke. That is so bad, but it's written. So it's like, you got to read it.
It's too late.
It'll be like, that tumor is so big that it should be a $3. It's like, oh God.
That happens in this show.
Yeah.
But
I think they're very
self-aware. I think that that's the big thing with them that I like, because I know from their other stuff that they're very self-aware with their dad humor and like ridiculously silly jokes a lot of times.
And I appreciate that because I could tell that they're doing it sort of tongue in cheek the whole way through. I mean, in a show where you're a 911 operator, and you treat it like you're a detective is just funny
and you have already. A pink Barbie phone.
Yeah.
It is really funny. So what do you think kind of is your main draw to these? Because I know you listen to a lot of Audible books as well, so is it just you like kind of just instead of listening to music or whatever throughout the day, you like just kind of hearing stories?
Yeah, I think it just has to do with it entertains my brain more. It's like a movie for my brain, It's like I can lose myself. That is a
great description.
Yeah,
I can lose myself in a story. That's why I like, Snap Judgment or a narrative podcast like this, where either someone's telling a story, as a storyteller, or it's a scripted story that you can follow linearly. I like that kind of stuff, especially if I really like kind of like binge listening, just like binge watching Netflix shows that have a closure, like a close date. Hey, there's 3 seasons of this and it's over. I love that. I mean, this isn't there yet, but I feel like it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be like one of those. These don't seem like the kind of guys that are going to make 14 seasons of this show,
It would probably be dicey to try and have like a scripted go indefinitely.
2 or 3 seasons maybe, and it'll be just a nice little bow on it. And I love that kind of stuff. A lot of these other shows that have come out in the past, sometimes they draw it out a little bit too far and it gets you get bogged down. But I really like the storytelling in these. I like to listen to books. I like to listen to stories because like I said, like my imagination can go to where they're talking about, and then time kind of disappears.
Yeah.
And my day is over and I don't have to be at work anymore.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that. I knew that you really liked kind of the storytelling as kind of what you have in your AirPods all day at work, so I just thought it would be an interesting thing. Another thing that I have to drop in here, the newest member of the PDS is going to be doing their rounds of the pop-up filmcast tonight. So in the next month or so, Matt will be featured on pop-up filmcast, which is, I would say, a rite of passage for the podcast Discovery Show at this point.
Tonight? Like you're going to record with them tonight?
Yeah, 9:30.
Okay. Sneak peek. You got to give us a little idea. At least give us your genre. You don't got to give us all the spoilers.
No,
but
okay,
come on.
yeah, genre title.
Got to give us the deets because this is our show.
We just can't tell Keith.
Yeah, keep it.
So keep it between us.
Keith doesn't listen to this.
Keith, he didn't tell you this right now.
No, I'm pretty excited. It's medieval times is the genre,
nice.
And the movie is titled Trail of Wizards.
Trail of Wizards.
The best possible title for that.
I'm pretty excited about that.
So yeah, everybody for sure, keep your eye out for that.
You guys brainstormed a little bit today on that, didn't you?
Oh, no.
No,
well, I did mention a few things that I had in my brain. A few, what that movie, it stars a very well-known actor as his first role. So I'm pretty pumped.
Nice. It's going to be good. He's saying that because when we were on that show, we brainstormed and it was quite a special process. It created a very special product.
What was your guys's?
We ended up being the only people that came on and made a trilogy.
And I can't remember what he prompted us with, because did he actually give us the Stinkwater trilogy?
No. We called it that. And I don't remember what it was. I think that was the background was swamp or something like that. I could be wrong.
It was a buddy cop. That's what it was. Yeah, it was a buddy cop movie. That's what it was.
How did we end up where we ended up?
Because that's what I'm saying. The brainstorm session went way off the rails.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I think it was Tyler Perry and
M. Night Shyamalan, right? Was he?
No, it was M. Night Shyamalan movie, and he played.
Oh, it was Nick Cage and Tyler Perry.
It was Nick Cage.
That's who it was.
Oh my God, that's a good buddy cop combo.
And Tyler Perry played like most of the characters in the movie.
Oh, okay. Yes. I was going to say, was Tyler Perry Medea the whole time?
Yeah, well, there was a little bit of Medea in there, but then there was also other people. But no, sorry to get everybody distracted. But when we were talking about storytelling, Pop-Up Filmcast is also a great improvised storytelling show. So it's a fun thing, and Matt's going to be on there, so everybody needs to know about it.
That's great.
And it's a Podfix not exclusive. It's a Podfix show, so they're on the network with us.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
But yeah, so back to what we were actually talking about. I should have dropped that in at some point.
So how many things do Rhett and Link do? Because I don't really follow them that much.
They do a ludicrous amount of things. Yeah. Just from watching Good Mythical Morning. I haven't really, I'm not subscribed to their content or anything like that. They do Good Mythical Morning. They have started a cooking show that they don't actually do, but it's underneath them. They have their podcast called Ear Biscuits. We've covered that before, which that's a pretty cool one, because they kind of they take the veil down of we're performing, and they kind of just talk, because they've known each other since they were 5.
That's crazy.
So they kind of have this entire life of being friends with each other, and then they both have kids and wives, and so they just talk about things. It's actually a pretty good show.
Ear Biscuits.
Yeah, it's a good one. And then they also have all of these extra things. I have seen them promoting a Lionel Richie cover album that they put out. I've seen them promoting a Merle Haggard cover album they put out. They put out a YA fiction series at some point. I can't remember what it was called.
Oh, yeah.
It's a YA fiction series. That's it. It's right here. The Lost Causes of Bleak Creek.
That was it. Bleak Creek. Yep. They did that YouTube series. It was like a YouTube Red show, but it was scripted. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That show was hilarious. I loved it. It was so good.
No, I think
they're actually pretty good actors too. I wouldn't have guessed, because the YouTube channel is them being them. Granted, you can tell they're reading, and they are very good they're really good at reading and it sounding natural.
Yeah, no, they are really good presenters at this point. They really are, and they've done this before. I can't remember. They were on some terrible series that looked like really light Tosh.0, essentially. So
gosh.
They showed some of this on one of their episodes. It was light Tosh.0, so it was more like America's Funniest Home Videos. Bad. It's dumb, and they had little one-liners between each video, and it was really bad.
It was so funny. 90s, man. So early 90s too.
Yeah, but in the end, they've really kind of, I don't know, they've created just this huge group of content.
Their
And
Wikipedia says they've got 17 million subscribers on just on Good Mythical Morning.
wow.
When they have over 7 billion total video views on that show, not including any of the other things they do.
It also says that they acquired Smosh.
What's Smosh?
Smosh, the sketch show or the sketch channel on YouTube. They're pretty big too. They had a movie come out. I wonder. Well, anyway.
Oh, this just happened.
Yeah,
2 years ago.
Yeah, interesting. So they've done a lot.
Yeah, they've done a lot.
This is one of many things that they've done.
Yeah, no, and I mean the reason we kind of hesitate anytime we do narrative ones, we don't really want to do like a full breakdown of exactly what happens in the episodes, because then it kind of ruins the story.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something we could talk about the structure and things like that. It ruins a one-line story basically. And so we haven't really broken down every single one of these things. But in the end, if you like narrative shows that are a little bit funny, a little tongue-in-cheek, a little bit of like fantasy sci-fi elements, it's a really good show. It sounds great. They're going to keep doing a great job at it. They have proven this time and time again that they're going to put out strong content across whatever they're doing.
Well, and I thought it was cool because you mentioned fantasy elements, and it was like when we eventually met one of the monsters, and I don't want to go too far into that, but like, and they named it eventually, and it was like, oh, that's like a D&D monster. And I was like, oh, damn. Okay. Okay. So they're going to go like pull from all sorts of mythologies and stuff for this show, which is super cool.
Yeah.
Very learned.
Like I said, I've been continuing to listen to the show, and it gets even better. You know, they delve more
I believe that
into the side B, because that's what they talk about. You know, like there's side A, which is what we see. And his thing is he can see side B, you know, the mythical, I think there was like 3 different categories they gave. I don't remember what they were. there was cryptids, there was magic creatures, and then there was something else. I forget. But you know, he was able to see all of those things. And no, it's a really good. I like the story a lot. It's fun. It's fun. That's the thing. It's just fun.
And it really brings you into it with the sound design.
Oh, and they do the what do they call it? Binaural, where it they tell you to wear headphones or just something that's actually in both ears, you know, something so that's close to your head, because they move the sound around. They have literally designed the sound to try and immerse you in the feel of this.
Crazy.
So it's
like that
a
Aaron
really
Mahnke
cool show
one we did during Halloween time.
Yep.
Which was really good. Which had, what was it? What the guy from Key and Peele was the host of
it. What?
I like that
Cauldron?
show.
That was it wasn't called The Cauldron, but yeah,
I
it
think
was.
We listened to an episode called The Cauldron. It was something Manor.
It was Keegan was like the host. Yeah.
Yeah, it was something Manor. I don't remember.
But it really does kind of change how you listen. Yeah, we covered it at some point.
We've covered so many shit.
We covered it. That's funny.
I've literally questioned sometimes, like, have we talked about this show yet?
Oh, I have definitely thought that many times.
Well,
but yeah,
it was definitely a fun show, and I will be finishing the series because I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Well, I have a recommendation for next week, and it is a show called The Constant, A History of Getting Things Wrong. And the entire premise of this show is that he corrects the record. So there is a nonstop line of miscommunication, misinformation, whatever you want to call it. There is a constant line of things not being as clear as you think they are. And I am not going to tell you what this episode is about. I'm just going to tell you the title of it, and you get to listen to it like I did. It is called Diabolical Devices of the Demon of Darkness.
Oh, shoot.
It is.
That's a lot of D's.
It is not what it is not what you think it is. But yeah, it's a really cool show. I'm curious to hear what you guys think.
Interesting.
I'm excited. And remember,
there's always more to discover.
Mine looks tiny. Y'all's looks fine. And it probably is the opposite for y'all.
Yeah, mine.
Too easy. I'm not even going to do it. He knew it as he was saying it. He's like, why? I shouldn't have said it.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This was a podcast from the Podfix Network. You can check out more shows like it